Well, hello everyone. Hey, it is Karen McDermott Rolfe, independent advisor with Creative Memories, and I am back with my monthly technique layout and challenge. Today I'm going to share a scrapbooking technique with you and then challenge all of you to use the technique to create your own layout. Take a photo of your layout and share it with me in my private Facebook group, Karen's Croppers, for an entry into my July door prize drawing. When you're in Karen's Croppers, go to the album section and look for the album titled Technique Tuesday number 71. Okay, that's 71, and that is where you're going to add your layout photo. So that also means there are 71 different technique albums there in Karen's Croppers. So it's a great reference library full of some great scrapbooking ideas for you. And you'll also see my summer layout challenge albums there in the album section of Karen's Croppers. I'm running a summer layout challenge. There's no fee to join. There's no special group to join. It's right there in Karen's Croppers. And if you'd like information about that summer layout challenge, just go to Karen's Croppers on Facebook and go to the guides section. Guides. So go to guide number 1. There's a printable handout, and then there's also an important post with frequently asked questions. And right there between that handout and those frequently asked questions is everything you need to know about my summer layout challenge. And it's not too late to join and join in the fun for an opportunity to win prizes. You can also find my layouts, information about my virtual events, my in-person events, and then find all of my different links on my blog at karencrops.com. So when you're in karencrops.com, you can easily find the link to my Facebook group, my YouTube channel here, and then also my Creative Memories website ordering link at creativememories.com/user/Karen, and it's Karen with the Y. And don't forget my generous customer rewards program. So today I'm going to feature some layouts using the Hit the Road collection. I really love this collection, and it has been really popular with my customers. I can't really keep it on my shelf here. Every time I have a shopping day or a porch pickup, I run out of the Hit the Road. It's really great. It uses these primary colors, and it's based with some really great travel icons. Okay. Now I wanted to show how the Hit the Road, so it's kind of vacation or road trip themed, is also going to coordinate with the brand new scenes bundles that just came out. Well, recently came out back last month. And they feature, again, different geographic areas, places where you just might live and have, really represents the area where you live, or again, vacation destinations. So whether you're taking a vacation trip this year and we're going to have some photos to scrapbook, or you have some old photos from a past trip, I think we might have a bundle here that's going to be perfect for you. So we have the mountain scenes, but you could see how you could intermingle papers from both of these packs to stretch your papers and create many layouts. So there's mountain scenes. There's also a coordinating pack of stickers. They are sold together as a bundle. So you'll see the mountain scenes bundle for $20, and that includes the paper pack of 12 sheets and then the sticker pack of three sheets of stickers. Okay, so all of the scenes bundles come as bundles with paper and stickers. Okay, there's the desert scenes, Pacific scenes, prairie scenes, coastal, and beach. Okay, really great options. And then with these scenes bundles, Creative Memories also released 6 different border punches that coordinate with all 6 of these bundles. And here are just 2 to show you. The cacti has been really popular. Okay, the whale tail's been really popular. Just 2. And then also we have 6 different recipe templates that also coordinate with all of these materials. So here's the mountains and trees, really popular. And the sailboat, I love this. Can't wait to use it. So that's just a peek. Remember, there are 6 of these. There's 6 different border punches and 6 different bundles with paper and stickers. let me move these aside. And getting back to my layout for today, now if you recalled my last month, my technique layout, I did use the Hit the Road paper again, and I did some strategic cutting with some of these 2 sheets of paper here that had the graphic designs on them. As I wanted to still use this in some ways, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to use these papers, okay? And then we're going to feature the trimmer with our stamping blade. So that's going to be the technique that we use. See if the camera, well, there we go, it's focused on it now. So this will focus on the trimmer and a decorative blade, and you can substitute with other blades. You know, last month we featured the custom cutting system. We've done 2 different months using the shape punches. We used the border maker system. We played with geometric shapes. We did tearing. So we've done a lot of different techniques already just this year. So I wanted to do a technique using a blade, and I was kind of challenging myself to use maybe a blade that I don't use too often. I think my favorites that I tend to use, well, obviously the straight blade, but I use the scallop blade and the wave blade a lot. But so I wanted to come up with an idea here for the stamping blade, and I thought it kind of worked really well with these vacation papers. So let's get to it. I'm going to use a sheet of dark green cardstock here as my background, and we're going to cut some pieces. So I have a piece of the bright white cardstock. You can see I already have one end cut. And I'm going to change out my blade, taking out my straight blade, and then putting in that stamping blade into the blade housing unit. And like I said, if you don't have this one, you could substitute with another one and close the lid. So it is so easy to interchange these blades. And the blades are just housed really nicely. You can see how they fit back in the little cartridge here. There's no sharp edges, so nothing to get cut on. So if you're just starting with a edge of paper, go ahead and cut one edge to get started. So you'll have a cut on one edge, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this at 2.5 inches, okay, 2.5. So I'm placing the little humps here on the 2.5 inch line on the trimmer. Now I'm using this trimmer was kind of a birthday exclusive special trimmer. It wasn't really exclusive because it was available to purchase for a while to celebrate Creative Memories. It was a birthday celebration, limited edition run in the blue colors, but it's just the same as our trimmer that's in the shades of white and gray, blue. So I'm going to have it at 2.5. I'm going to press and cut. Now, when you're using the decorative blades, you have to remember to press extra hard, okay? Extra hard all the way down to the bottom. Don't let up on your pressure as you go down. Sometimes I tend to do that. I'll start off really pressing hard, and as I go down, I let up. But you need to keep that pressure all the way so that you cut all the way through your cardstock. And look at that. I was pressing hard and it didn't quite get it all the way, but here I'm able to pull it apart, but it's leaving me these little fuzzy edges. So let me see if I can just kind of tear these off or cut them off. The bright white cardstock is a little bit, you know, it has a little bit of a different texture to it than our other cardstock colors. It's a little bit firmer. I don't know if it's really a heavier weight. I don't believe it's actually a heavier weight, but this has a softer texture. So again, to press extra hard so you get that decorative edge. So now that we have our strip that's 2.5 inches, we're going to turn it on its side and we're going to cut off just a smidge from one end, okay? So now we have 3 edges cut. And let's turn it this way. And we're going to cut pieces that are 1 7/8 inches. Now, 1 7/8 inches, right here we have the 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 inches. And the 1 7/8 inches is 2 lines before the 2 inches, okay? 2 inches before, or 2 lines before the 2 inch for 1 7/8 inches. So we're going to make these little postage stamp pieces, okay? And then we're going to cut the decorative paper and put it inside to make little postage stamp icons or scenes on postage stamps. So if you can think about some of the stamps that we get, and they have little scenes on them, that is kind of what we're creating here. So we have these. And then I also had a head start on you guys, and I had gone ahead and I pre-cut some pieces. So these are a little bigger. So I started with a strip that's 4 1/4 inches. So 12 by 4 1/4. And then I cut those at 1 7/8 inches also. Now, if you go to my blog at KarenCrups.com, I'll have a printable handout for you where you'll have all these measurements handy, okay? So I have these pieces here that, again, they're 1 7/8 inches by 2.5 inches, okay? So we have some taller ones, and then we have some shorter ones. And at this point, we are done with our stamping blade. So I think it's really important to go ahead and change that out right away. So we have the straight blade in, and we don't accidentally make some cuts. And then you could go ahead and store this here in the little slot on the back of your trimmer. Now you can see this is not the trimmer that I use for my everyday scrapbooking. It's just a spare trimmer I have here in my workshop space. But my trimmer that I use every day is full of all the different blades that Creative Memories offers with the trimmer. So make sure to check out the different blades. Okay. So now we're going to take that Scenic paper, and you know, I had talked about this last month in my video about, oh, it's so pretty and unique. It's like, where do you put photos on it, right, without covering up the fun design that's printed right on it? So let me get the full sheet here and show you. You know, so if you really filled it up, you know, with the photos, you're really covering up a lot of the design. So this layout that I've designed, I think, is really preserving elements of the design that I liked. And I had used the backside last month to cut some hollow shapes from. So when you watch that video, you can take a look at that. So I had some portion of this left over. And what I did is I cut some pieces that are going to have most of the graphic design on it. Okay, so you can see I had used the bottom portion of this last month for the red side, okay? Because I didn't think, you know, I didn't need this big piece. So a lot of the zigzag here, the mountains and the clouds, you know, I really wanted to preserve that again to use. So I have a piece here. You see, I don't have it all the way at the top because a lot of that was just kind of some extra blue. So I have this piece here that is 4 inches high, so it's 12 inches by 4, and it's got that part of the pattern on it. And then the next part of the pattern right below it, I have this piece that's also 12 inches by 2 1/4. Okay, 2 1/4. And see how they fit together? So I thought that was kind of the most graphic areas of this designer paper that's really preserving the look of it. So I think just with these portion, you get the whole feel of this entire sheet. Okay, is that making sense to you guys, what I'm trying to get at? So we have the piece that's 4 inches high, and we have the piece that's 2 1/4. And what we're going to do now, we're going to cut these apart. We're going to use our straight blade, and we are going to make those. We want them to fit on the postage stamps. And they were 1 7/8 inches. I was thinking 1 inch, I believe. Or not 1 inch. I think 1.5 inches. That'll give us a nice edge, okay? So let's go 1.5 inches. And then 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. It'll be kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, and we'll have to put the pieces back together. We're cutting all of these at an 1.5 inches. So let's get these larger postage stamps now, and let's start adhering the pieces. So I'm just going to center it up in there. Now I should have been more careful before I did that to see how the pieces all fit together. All right, let me see if I can. Okay, I think I got it back in order. So when we cut those apart, make sure to keep them in order. Okay. So now I'm just going back and adhering them here on my postage stamp pieces. Alrighty, as I was finishing adhering all of my pieces onto my postage stamp white cardstock, I noticed that my proportions were a little bit off. The pieces were more narrow and I thought they were a little long. So I cut 1/8 inch off the tops of my panels. So I'm going to make an adjustment here to the size of your strip. As you recall, I initially said to cut a 4-inch strip here for the top. I'm changing that to 3 7/8, okay? And all of these correct measurements will all be on the handout from the beginning. I'm kind of designing here as we go, so sometimes that happens, you know, of what I'm thinking in my mind is going to work, and then as I start to implement it, it's not, so I'm going to make this little adjustment. So you should cut a piece here from this designer paper that's 12 inches by 3 7/8. And then for your bottom piece, that should be 12 inches by 2 1/8, okay, 2 1/8 high. And then we're going to cut these pieces just like we did for the top. We're going to cut those at 1 1/8 inches. Let me just double check here. No, we're going to cut it at 1.5 inches. Where am I getting the 1 1/8 inches? So we're going to cut these pieces at 1.5 inches wide, just like I did up here with this first piece of designer paper. So 1.5 inches, okay? And also I wanted to point out that when I adhered them on to the stamp pieces, I did have 2 extra pieces left, okay? So there's kind of not much design there on the end, so I didn't lose anything. I really wanted, you know, the road and the major mountain pieces, okay? So for this smaller piece now, again, we're going to cut those into 1.5 inch pieces. So 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. And remember, try to keep them in order. I think I have my pieces upside down right now. And 1.5 inches. So let's flip these over. And that was the first piece. So I think they're going to look like this. And again, like we did before, I'm going to take these pieces and adhere them onto the cardstock pieces, centering up there. And we have a better proportion now. We have about an equal distance from the top and bottom edge as we did from the 2 sides. So sorry that was a little clunky there. I don't like that. I didn't want to start the whole video over because I've already cut my paper. Did that big lengthy explanation about the graphic paper here, and I gave you a peek at those scenes. So I'm just gonna we're gonna roll with it. So you can do this with all different kinds of paper, really. It doesn't need to be this type of graphic paper, but we have had these kind of prints before in the past. Some of the older travel collections had pieces like this. Now I'm going to take my microtip scissors, and sometimes when the two edges of the stamps meet up, you get these funny little kind of pointy, horn pieces. I'm just going to kind of cut those off and round it a little bit. Just the ones that look a little funny or that are poking out, that are kind of sharp looking, maybe is what I want to say. So just kind of doing that. And here's one on this side. And up here at the top also. How many of you guys are taking a road trip this summer? I've got very fond memories of road trip vacations. As a child with my 3 siblings and my parents, all 6 of us in the station wagon. I've got fond memories of taking my son on a big road trip. We went to the Dakotas and to Yellowstone. That was a great trip. Let's see. I think my husband and I might take a trip this fall. A little bit of a road trip. So what we're going to do now, we're going to adhere the pieces on, trying to kind of evenly space them. So I kind of just lay them out a little bit to get your general spacing so you know how far away from the cardstock edge that you should adhere them. And then go ahead and adhere. I'm going to use the repositional adhesive again in case I need to make any adjustments. And I'm trying to adhere them on straight. You could use this technique with a variety of different paper pieces and make it kind of a mosaic, kind of quilt looking pattern with different papers. And then we're going to do the same with the bottom pieces. Also kind of spacing them out a little bit. There we go. I'll look forward to seeing the different ideas that you all come up with when you share this. What other blades you might use to substitute to get a different look. You know, for example, if you're going to do a water kind of layout or beach layout, you could use the little wave blade and then just fill it with different beachy paper patterns. It could be a way to use up some of your scraps of paper that you might have. But I kind of like this look. It's kind of like, you know, looking through a window at it, creating these little vignette pieces or puzzle almost. So I think that's looking really cool. And I already have some mats already pre-cut, also out of the bright white. Let me start in the middle maybe. Now my mats are 3 3/4 wide. It's 3 3/4 wide by 4 3/4 tall. Okay. 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. There we go. And I have some embellishments and stickers already selected from the Hit the Road. Just going to kind of layer some pieces here. So I think I'll adhere this piece on flat because that's going to be my space for a little bit of journaling. Okay, and then this embellishment piece, I'll use some foam squares. Just peeling off the backing here right into my garbage can. And then I'll and then I have a sticker, and I'm going to use our anti-stick powder tool to take off the adhesive or the stickiness of the sticker to turn it into a nice embellishment or that I could use a foam square on. So I have a little cluster there, and then I was thinking I'd put the car down here with this little sticker, maybe kind of overlapping the photo a smidge, but that's a photo mat, so it won't overlap the photo very much. Again, I'm using that anti-stick powder tool. Really like that. I use it almost every time I scrapbook now. And again, putting on some more foam squares. We'll go like that. And then I have my little vehicle. There we go. That's kind of fun, huh? Let me clear off my space. So I really love how that turned out. I mean, I love this graphic design that the stamping blade gave us. We created this we've used the kind of the best part of that paper, that graphic paper. We have room for 3 large photos. We have room for journaling. And I think it's really cool. Another way too, I created a second layout already using the other sheet of this kind of print paper here with the big graphic design on it. Again, trying to figure out a way that we can preserve that big design but still have some good amount of space for photos. And so I think I preserved, the road here, and how the placement of the title in the car really leads us on this journey. We're going right up that road into the mountains, so we can still see the mountains, the sky. And then I just, again, used the stamping blade to cut some photo mats here out of the bright white cardstock, and those are ready for my photos. And those are, let me measure that real quick for you. Those are 3 3/4. So 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then they fit really nicely on that page. All right, everybody, but this one here is your challenge. Use that stamping blade or substitute a different blade, create some small pieces, and let's see what you can come up with. I can't wait to see what you guys create. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great month.